If you're new to our channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button.
Here are a few ways that you can deal with weeds in your garden.
Sponsored by MIgardener.com, with over 450 varieties of non-GMO, heirloom, organic flowers, vegetables, and herb seeds, all for 99 cents. MIgardener.com.
So weeds are one of the biggest enemies of gardeners, and we fight with weeds if you're in traditional ground, sometimes in raised beds. Shouldn't fight with weeds if you're in containers, because you're bringing in good soil that contains no weed seeds. So we're on the high end of the garden here, which once was a strawberry patch, a very productive strawberry patch, but over the last number of years it's declined rapidly. Strawberries typically last between 5 to 7 years. This bed is about 9 years old. There are some daughter plants. We've harvested the ones we've wanting to move to another bed, which we have done. And we're going to cover this area with weed fabric or weed barrier. And we're going to plant squash on this area. Now we could go in here with a garden fork and flip all this soil over and remove the roots, and I'll show you that in a moment on another bed. We could come in here with a mechanical tiller, but the problem is that roots of these weeds that will come back just by root divisions or small cuttings of roots. So we come in here and we till it up, it looks pretty, but in 2 or 3 weeks it has multiplied substantially to the number of weeds that we have growing. So we're going to come in here with a weed barrier and cover this, and then make holes where we're going to plant our squash and run irrigation underneath it so we can have a weed-free squash bed. So let's look at another option in which we can utilize cardboard as being a weed suppressant. So cardboard can be used as a weed suppressant or a weed barrier. Now some of you may have concerns with the toxicity in the glue which the cardboard is put together. We know there's a level of toxicity, but we're okay with that based on the benefits in which it provides for our garden. So we take, and this is a large bed here, and we've covered it with cardboard, and then whenever I weed a bed, I will take those weeds and roots and cover the cardboard, and kind of like a lasagna type of method, but only 1 layer or 2 layers here. Now underneath this cardboard, I've not worked the soil at all. It's what it was. Last year I've raked back all the dry material down to the soil. I've left the weeds that were growing there, and I've just covered them up. And then at the time of planting, this will be a bush bean bed. We will come in and I will take and cut slivers of cardboard out and plant beans in those removed cardboard areas, and we can get 10 rows in this bed, and it really will make a tremendous difference and save time that I don't have to go in here and weed this bed because the cardboard is doing it for us. So this bed was done a couple of weeks ago, same procedure, cardboard down on top of the ground, raked back the dry material, and we use some of that as mulch as a trellis that we're going to use in another bed here. But we remove the cardboard back, and the tremendous amount of worms that have worked itself up next to the cardboard. And what we'll do is we'll make holes. This will be cabbage and kale in this bed, and this cardboard will break down. The weeds, due to the warmth of the sun and the exposure of the sun, will die off, and it will actually create a layering, breakdown, compostable kind of bed here. So we think this will be a very good alternative to some beds you have to work. This bed's never been worked, and this is what I'm working over here, removing the roots. Let's go to a bed over there, and I'll show you how I do remove the roots. It's a tedious job, but it's a rewarding job, and a job you don't have to do very often. So this is a garden fork. This is a very valuable tool to a gardener. It's a flat tine, hard tine fork. It's not a hay fork that you use on a farm. So what I'm doing is, in these beds, I have to wait until the soil is a certain consistency of moisture, and based on the type of soil you have, it will be different for you. But I'll take 4 or 5 inches, flip it over, tease the soil away from the roots, and then the roots come off of the soil. That's some creeping Charlie there. That's a nice long root of a plant. I don't know what type that is. And then you have these weeds that have runners that will go under 2 or 3 or 4 inches from the actual plant. So you just break this down. You're not going to get all the roots out. Impossible. But what you're doing is you're purging the bed of the majority of the roots and preventing them from growing, loosening the soil up. And the advantage to the fork is I'm not cutting any worms up. They're falling through the tines, and I can easily loosen the soil here as we remove the roots. Time consuming, yes. Beneficially, it's a good practice to have. You can see you can just get all of these roots out of there, because these will all, here's a perfect example of what it does here. Main root, and then this one's sending a runner off, and it's going to send up a shoot over here. So just because you think you hacked it off whenever you're weeding, all of this is underground and it's all going to regenerate. And then I take these weeds, roots, and I dump over on the cardboard. So we only do this about every 3 or 4 years in each bed here, and that really does make a difference. It fluffs the soil, it adds, it gets rid of the weeds, purges the beds, makes it a lot healthier for the plants to grow, less competition. And we're going to see how the cardboard aspect mulching works. That's going to save us a lot of time as well. And I'll do these on some beds as well. So weeding, there's a lot of different options. Avoid chemicals. That's the main thing that we recommend.
For more information, please visit thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com.